going to talk about Hollywood, correct? I actually grew up working in the theater in New York. I'm a theater child. I worked for a bunch of very well-known producers. Worked, what I mean by that is I got coffee for people. When I was like 14, 15, 16, consistently lying about my age. I still do that now, but I go in the other direction now. And so from very early on, I wanted to write for the theater. It was a dream of mine, and I was lucky enough, or unlucky enough, depending on your point of view, to have some early success. When I was 21, my first play was produced while I was still in college. And what happened? Well, grant money dried up, is really what happened in New York City at a certain point for playwrights. And really there is no, still to this day, no structure in this country. Now I'm not going to get on my high horse, but I'll try, to nurture playwriting or playwrights. There's no kind of institutional way for it to happen. And so most of us were working in the theater back then and were surviving on grants. Yes, if you had a hit on Broadway, that would, you could make a killing, but making a living was very hard. So at a certain point, I realized I had to make some money. And also, I really felt like the theater wasn't as valued a place as it was when I was growing up in it. And I felt sad about that, very sad about that. And so, and I was getting a lot of offers to work in Hollywood from a very early age because of, that early success and stuff. And so finally I said, okay, I will go do that. And it's just a very different world. There are very different reasons that one, I've mostly been a screenwriter. I've written a little bit for TV. I'm doing that now, more. But as a screenwriter, I had these ideas about what kind of impact I could have with my scripts. And I grown up watching those movies in the 70s, Midnight Cowboy and the like, and I thought, well, we can do that kind of work. And though I was commissioned to write scripts like that, Hollywood didn't seem as interested as I hoped they would be in actually making those movies. So I've worked for every major studio. I started my career working for Sidney Pollack. I wrote 2 scripts for him. I've worked for major directors and stars, and what do I have to show for it? A couple of credits and a great pile of scripts in my office that are really, I think they're really good, and a lovely house in Santa Monica, California, and some money in the bank, and that's all great. But at a certain point, a group of friends of mine who work in the theater, a fantastic, brilliant director named James Lapine, who's worked with Stephen Sondheim for years, said I had to write plays again. Kept bugging me to write plays again. And I would tell them to go away, and I could see a reason to do it. And then, the logic of it started to penetrate for me, because the kind of work I wanted to do, the kind of writing I wanted to do, though I could find people in Hollywood, and still can to some extent, who value it, really institutionally, those companies that are making the film, and I get it, it's a commercial enterprise, that's not what they value. And so as a screenwriter, it's a weird, being a writer is strange anyway, and being a screenwriter is truly odd, because you toil and you work really hard. I work really hard on every line of the script, and then, that stuff gets discarded on the set, and the director does what he wants to do, and the actors start making things up, and then you suddenly, and the movie doesn't resemble what you wrote. So, and it's a really interesting process. So, at a certain point, I still had a tremendous hunger to write about things that I cared about, and I realized that maybe the theater was what I should do. So I started to write plays again about 5 years ago, and that novel is the second play back. I wrote this other play that, these people have heard it, has 17 characters in it and 10 actors playing it. Is that a producible play? I don't think so. It was supposed to go to Broadway, it didn't go. Why? I can't figure it out. And so I'm rewriting it now for 4 characters. But what happened in the process is I got suckered back in. And I love the community of the theater where you're actually sitting and working with the director in a collaborative fashion, not in an adversarial fashion, and you're working with the actors on a daily basis on what actually is in the text and how they can bring it to life and how you can help them and change things. And so it's a community that it's a shared vision. I started, but then we have this shared vision that gets, and that's not anything like what goes on in Hollywood. So that's why I've come back.